Okay, we're continuing the journey to Atlantis on page 36, which is chapter 7, In a Strange Land. The boy with the blue skin waited until the Thea sisters left the room. Then he slowly got out of bed and walked to the window to look outside. His heart was filled with confused emotions, and his head was a whirlwind of thoughts. Only the rigorous training he had received as a child allowed him to stay in control. He had been right all along. A world did exist out here beyond the surface of a sea. It was very similar to the one described in legends that his people kept in the Room of Frozen Words. For years, the people who lived in his faraway kingdom had believed that what was written in those precious volumes were just stories, myths, but they were wrong. The legends were real, and he had proved it. "If only you could see this world through my eyes, Father," the boy murmured. "You wouldn't call me a dreamer anymore." He stared at the garden outside the window, which was unlike any garden he had ever seen. It was so green and bright. All those plants and the trees that swayed in the wind, they made his eyes spin. And oh, the wind! He had never felt it before. The sweet caress of the wind on his face. It was an incredible feeling, one that he would never forget. Then his mood darkened, thinking of the storm that had shipwrecked him a few days before. He shivered as the memories brought a chill to his body. He thought of the boat that had brought him to the surface of the sea, how it had tossed and turned in the angry waves. He felt sad as he thought about all the things he had lost. His precious instruments, all his food, even the portrait of his beloved family. It was all gone, lost forever in the depths of the ocean. He remembered waking up here, in the world above sea level, the world that nobody except him believed was real. At first, everything around him seemed too complicated, with too many colors and too many noises for him to understand. And he felt different here. Walking just a few steps tired him out. His bones felt heavy and his muscles felt weak. The language of the mice who had helped him stung his ears, and if he looked up, he got dizzy. The sky was the most sensational thing he had ever seen. "I think you would like this place very much, little sister," he murmured in his melodious language.
His what?
Melodious language. Then he bit his lip in fear. Would he ever see his beloved sister Astra again? Would he ever be able to go home? An image of Astra came to him, with her long blue hair that was soft like algae, and the gentle twinkle of her green eyes. He could almost hear the beautiful echoes of the melodies she played on her harp. At first he had regretted not bringing her on this journey, but perhaps it was for the best. Only a miracle had allowed him to survive the storm. At least Astra was home, safe. The thought made him smile, and he clutched the medallion around his neck and went back to bed. "I am a stranger in a strange land," he thought as he drifted back to sleep.
Wait, just let's look at the picture first for a second. Okay, and then what do we have down here, Sienna? What is that called? What did he call it?
The nautical garden.
Oh, wait, I didn't see it.
This isn't right here.
That's me. Here, tip it down just a little bit. There we go. The mirror writing, remember? So we can read it in the mirror, but down here it's backwards. Okay, so she read it. It says the nautical garden. Okay.
An unexpected return.
Okay.
The news that a strange boy with blue skin had been found quickly spread across the Whale Island. In no time it had reached the ears of a Mouseford student who had recently landed in Mexico in a private helicopter, Ruby Flashyfur. Ruby came from a wealthy family and was always competing with the Thea sisters. She hated for anyone else to be the center of attention. So when she left for vacation, she asked her personal assistant, Alan, to stay and observe for her. Alan was bored at first. The only other rodent in sight was a quiet mouseling with a long black braid. But on the third day, he He was surprised when the other Thea sisters returned. He followed them and was amazed at what he saw. He called Ruby right away. "A stranger? What kind of a stranger?" Ruby squawked into her mouse phone. "Well, I'm not sure," Alan replied. "The Thea sisters are taking care of him. He's quite unusual." "You're not making any sense," Ruby yelled, frustrated. It really bugged her that the Thea sisters were involved in something interesting. "Well, he has blue hair and blue skin," Alan explained. "Stop lying," Ruby said crossly. "It's the truth," Alan insisted. "Interesting," Ruby murmured as she hung up the phone. Then she hopped back on her private helicopter and headed right back to Mouseford Academy. Uh-oh. In the meantime, the Thea sisters had been trying everything they could think of to cure the boy with blue skin. He had a sweet smile and a gentle way about him that had won all of them over, including Midge. The cook had prepared him every algae recipe she could find. Thankfully, he seemed to be slowly getting stronger. The Thea sisters continued using pictures to communicate, but they still could not figure out where the boy had come from. "It's a real mystery, all right," Nikki commented as she headed down to the port with Paulina and Violet. They wanted to look at the lists of boats that had sailed near the island on the night of the storm. But when they arrived, they were surprised to see the Flashy First family yacht anchored there. "Ruby's back?" Paulina asked. Nikki looked puzzled. "I thought she was in Mexico." Violet frowned. "I bet the reason she's back early is related to her friend with the blue skin." But how could she know about them? Nikki wondered as Ruby came down the dock. "Yoo-hoo, darlings! How good to see you!" Ruby called out to them. The three mice were stunned. Ruby had never been nice to them before. "Hi, Ruby," Paulina said. "Why are you back so early?" "Oh, Mexico is beautiful, but after a while everything becomes so boring," she said. "Plus I missed school and my friends." "Is Ruby talking about us?" Nikki whispered to Violet. "Now," Ruby continued, "I know that you have a new friend. You didn't intend to keep him to yourself, did you?" Uh-oh. She flashed them a crafty smile. Violet rolled her eyes. "What did I tell you?" she muttered to her friend. "A Flashy Fur is never nice without a motive."
Hang on a second. Let me back up a little so you can see the whole picture.
See, there she is coming off of her yacht.
Okay.
"Leave him to me." Ruby bombarded the three Thea sisters with questions as they walked back to Mouseford. "Did you find out where he's from? Is it true that he wears golden clothes? Is he a nobleman?" Nikki, Paulina, and Violet didn't have many answers to give her, but Ruby didn't give up. When she found out what room the boy was staying in, she ran off. Uh-oh. Pam and Colette were in the boys' room when their friends got back. "We have news," Paulina said with a sigh. "Guess who just arrived on the island?" Nikki said. Before anyone could guess, Ruby pranced into the room wearing an elegant and expensive-looking pink dress with perfectly styled hair. She had obviously gotten dressed up to meet the stranger. "Ruby!" Pam and Colette cried. Ruby walked straight to the boy. "Esteemed guest, it is a great honor to have you in our humble school." She held out her paw so that he could kiss it, but the boy just stared, stunned. "Ahem!" Ruby loudly cleared her throat, hoping the boy would take the hint. When she didn't, she reluctantly lowered her paw. "A special guest like you should not be in any old room. I insist that you stay on our family yacht," she told him. "I'm afraid he doesn't understand our language," Paulina informed her, "and I don't think he's interested in your yacht."
Hang on a second. Let's show him the picture.
"Nonsense," Ruby sniffed. She grabbed the boy's arm. "Now, come with me." She pulled the confused boy out of his bed and dragged him from the room. The Thea sisters followed. Once Ruby had set her mind on something, it was hard to stop her. "We can't let her take him," Pam cried. "There's not much we can do," Violet said with a sigh. Ruby will take care of him in her own way. At least we can focus on solving the mystery of where he's from." Colette's blue eyes lit up. "I have an idea," she cried. "We should call someone who is smart, well-connected, well-traveled, and is always ready to help us. Do you know who I'm talking about?" "Thea Stilton, of course," the others shouted in unison.
Okay, let's stop there. Next chapter is called Help from Thea.